Hey, it's the right Rican, and the left are really melting down over this Elon Musk buying of Twitter. Um, I'm going to share this. Um, I mean, they want to. They're throwing a hail mary to try to get the sale blocked, and apparently, here I'll show you from this article here. Um, saw this on Twitter. The FCC, the FTC, and the DOJ were asked to block Elon Musk's deal to acquire Twitter after claiming the transaction poses a direct threat to American democracy and free speech. The commissioner responded and said they had no authority to block uh, the free speech. So here's the whole thing. Like I said, that they're um, they're flipping out over this, that they throw this hail mary to try to stop this because it represents a direct what was the quote they said, a direct threat to American democracy and free speech. Okay, if Elon Musk is about to let more people talk, and have there's going to be more speech, how is that a direct, if there's going to be more engagement and more speech, how is that not free speech? How is that a assault to democracy? But this is the whole thing. They don't want free speech. And how can I prove it to you? Real easy. Their whole thing was, oh, Twitter's a private company, they could do whatever they want. This was what we heard for the past 5 years, was Twitter's a private company, they could do whatever they want. Oh, well, if you want, you could always create your own. So what happened? Well, the right created their own. They created, I mean, granted, there's been other platforms, but Parlor was blowing up. Parlor was blowing up. And what did they do? They nuked it. They nuked it with their partners in big tech, with Google. Google nuked it. Not only Google nuked it in the App Store, so did Apple, and then Amazon finished the job and got rid of their servers. That's why now you have Rumble doing the servers, the same stuff that AWS does. Rumble's doing for True Social, because the fact that big tech cannot be trusted for free speech. They just cannot. There's tweets out there. I forgot to bring it up where I think it was Sean King was saying that Apple and Google said that um, if Twitter doesn't regulate hate speech, then they could get kicked off the App Store. And I go, this is the whole thing. What is hate speech? It's hate speech. Me calling Talcum X, Sean King Talcum X. Is that hate speech because I'm mocking him? You know, is hate speech me wearing my FJB Let's Go Brandon shirt? Is that hate speech? This is and I mean, this, if you want to see how Twitter, well, how we got to this place with Twitter, here's I'm gonna show you this um tweet. And let me see, I'm gonna make this a little bigger for you guys. Here we go. Here's an example of Twitter's left wing bias. We have to take into context the consideration. Twitter's interpretation of the context is affected by the left wing bias. I would need to see an example of that. Now, in order to understand this meme, okay, I'm gonna play to you just the first minute of this video from the Joe Rogan Experience, just so you can understand the context of this meme.
I believe that to be the case. So your platform restricts speech. Our platform promotes speech unless people violate our rules. And in a specific direction.
in any direction.
But Uncle, I don't want to say his name, the guy who calls for death gets a suspension. The guy who insinuates death gets a permanent ban.
But Tim, you're misinterpreting what I'm saying, and I feel like you're doing it deliberately. It's not about one particular thing. It's about a pattern and practice of violating
And you have a
rules.
pattern and practice of banning only one faction of people.
I don't agree with
Quillette
that.
recently published an article where they looked at 22 high-profile bannings from 2015 and found 21 of them were only on one side of the cultural debate.
But I don't look at the political spectrum of people when I'm looking at their tweets.
Right, you have a bias.
I don't know who they are.
You're biased, and you're targeting specific individuals because your rules support this perspective.
No, I don't agree with that.
Well,
so can you be clear though in like what rules support that perspective?
Specifically, the easiest one is misgendering, right? Because that's so clearly ideological. If you ask a conservative, what is misgendering? They'll say if someone is biologically male and you call them, she, a biologically male, you call them a she, that's misgendering. That's a conservative view. The progressive view is inverted. So now you actually have in your policies a rule against the conservative perspective.
I have a rule against the abuse and harassment of trans people on our platform.
Okay. So why did I show you that video? Because what I wanted you to see is this is what was going on in Twitter. You see that they have a bias. She was just there like, no. This is why we're doing it. Yes, because you have a bias. And I'm sorry if my video is lagging, but you have to do what you have to deal with what you have. So, anyways, okay, I'm getting annoyed with that. So, trying to see if I give it a chance. You know what? Let's do this. Since I don't know what's going on, since my lag is all messed up, let's just do this. Here. I'm not even going to show myself right now, just because the fact the lag is getting on my nerves. So just in case. So look, listen. Twitter had their bias. Twitter had their bias when it came to who they blocked, the way he's not wrong. He wasn't wrong. And this is actually how I found Tim Pool. I saw him on this episode of Joe Rogan, and it was like, oh, this guy's awesome. I mean, you saw the way he got her flustered, and it was a funny sight to see because he wasn't wrong. You saw this going on, and this is why I say the left is not about free speech, because she's like, oh, well, about harassment of no. Look, listen, you have a block button, right? If someone's messing with you, click the block button. Okay, plain and simple. That's it. If there's people who are bothering you and you don't want to deal with them, block them. If a bunch of people come in, block them all. Block them all. That's it. You don't have to listen to them. They have the right to free speech. You have the right to ignore them. Block button is it's a nice way to ignore them. It's like when you're mad at someone and you don't want to take their phone calls, you send them straight to voicemail. They text you, you ignore the text. You could even block a phone number, period, on your phone. Same thing, Twitter. Just block them. Just block them. But like I said, the left aren't about free speech. They're, and if there's any more proof of that, then it's this Orwellian creation by the Biden administration. Here goes. Biden administration creates Disinformation Governance Board under the Department of Homeland Security to fight misinformation. Big surprise that government overreach would come under Department of Homeland Security. There's a bunch of us who've been against the DHS, before its creation. We were against it from the get-go, and this is why. But let's go through this article real quick, because there's a funny thing about it. It goes here: the Department of Homeland Security is setting up a new board designed to counter misinformation related to Homeland Security with a focus on Russia and irregular migration. The board will be called, right there, irregular migration. The board will be called the Disinformation Governance Board and will be headed by Executive Director Nina Janikowski. And here's the thing. I mean, right there, the fact that they're calling it irregular migration instead of illegal immigration. But here, before I go into this article, here's who this Nina person is, the Janikowski or Jankowicz. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it goes, Biden's new disinformation head has a history of spreading disinformation. And let's see here. So you can see she herself revealed to have spread disinformation on a number of topics. The screenshot of old tweets posted to Twitter, she was seen dismissing the Hunter Biden laptop as Russian misinformation, slamming free speech, and bashed Twitter's decision to stop taking action against 2020 election posts. On numerous occasions, she discredited the Hunter Biden laptop, saying it was a fairy tale and disinformation. It goes right here. Look, not to mention that the emails don't need to be. Well, I can't see that. Okay. Another tweet she wrote, back on the laptop from hell. Apparently, Biden notes 50 former NatSec officials and 5 former CIA heads that believe the laptop is a Russian influence. Trump says Russia, Russia, Russia. In another tweet, I'm sorry. Can I get this off my screen? There we go. Free speech has made numerous posts expressing discontent with the idea. Trump's speech is definitely the most presidential thing he's ever done, but still missing a disavowed of disinformation and conspiracy theories. She continued, and once again, for the people in the back, free speech versus censorship framing is a false dichotomy. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the person who is now the executive director of the Disinformation Governance Board. Okay? And just so you can know, for the people who, if you've never read 1984, I'm going to give you a little, we could go here to Wikipedia. I just want you to see just a left-wing biased source, not a right-wing biased source. But here it goes. The Ministry of Truth is involved with news, media, entertainment, the fine arts, and educational books. Its purpose is to rewrite history, to change the facts, to fit party doctrine for propaganda effects. For example, if Big Brother makes a prediction that turns out to be wrong, the employees of the Ministry of Truth correct the record to make it accurate. This is the how of the Ministry of Truth's existence. Within the novel, Orwell elaborates that the deeper reason for his existence, the why, is to maintain the illusion that the party is absolute. It cannot ever seem to change its mind. And that's the whole thing. Here's another thing where it goes, the Ministry of Truth is the Ministry of Propaganda. As with other ministries, in the novel, the name of the Ministry of Truth is a misnomer because in reality, it serves the opposite. It is reasonable for any necessary falsification of historical events. However, like the other ministries, the name is also apt because it decides what truth is in Oceania. Now, here's the whole thing. This is the same thing. Who decides? Who's the arbiter of what's disinformation? Okay. This lady here said that the Hunter Biden laptop was misinformation. And it only took 2 years for the New York Times to confirm that the story was true. Okay. But here we are. 2 minutes, 2 years later, all right, and here we are 2 minutes, 2 minutes, excuse me, 2 years later, and that's what's going on. Is the fact that um oh, sorry, got a hiccup there. 2 years later, the New York Times confirming the story, and there's still people who think that the Hunter Biden laptop, it was Russian misinformation, because even in the article where the New York Times confirmed that the laptop story was true, it was hidden in the back paragraphs of the story. It wasn't the headline of the story. It was in an article on something else. I forgot what. But that wasn't the headline of the story. So if we can't trust if we can't trust the New York Times to self-correct a story that they ran as, New York Times saying the New York Post, and CNN reporting that the New York Post story was Russian disinformation, how are we going to trust that the government is going to, this Ministry of Truth? That's why I called it the Ministry of Truth, because, who's the arbiter to tell us that something's misinformation? Obviously not the Biden administration, because, they ran, of course, to protect himself. He got his buddies in the intelligence services to say that it was, without even viewing the laptop, calling it Russian disinformation. Now you could have said, "Oh, this is just Trump's October surprise," and it would have been like, "Oh, okay, that I could understand you saying that, and try to dismiss it as just an October surprise, and it's a nothing burger." You could have played that game, but you literally used the Russia excuse. Okay, you have these arbiters of disinformation talking about that they're going to be the arbiters. They're the ones that are going to tell us what is and is not real. No, 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 no. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Okay, that's the whole nonsense that's going on right now. They want to, sell us on 2 + 2 = 5, like they did in 1984. And there's people here that, there's people in this generation that want to tell you, 2 + 2 is 5, because 2 + 2 is 4, is a white patriarchal colonial frame of mind. Okay, no. 2 + 2 is 4, does not equal 5, and just because the government wants to, will want to tell us 2 + 2 is 5, doesn't mean that it's true. Okay. Um. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I mean, this is seeing this whole thing about um, seeing that how the left is flipping out. They're melting down over a guy who wants to just put make more engagement by making speech more available. You don't have to follow right wing people who are talking on Twitter. You don't want to listen to them? Block them. That's it. Same thing. If someone on the right doesn't want to listen to someone on the left, block them. But what you saw the video of the lady from Twitter going, "Oh well, because she believes the whole gender ideology stuff to her. This makes sense, but it does not make sense on both sides of the political aisle. So you can't not if you're doing if you want to have a platform that's about free speech, then you have to, swallow what you think is appropriate speech and let it go and let people disagree. There's plenty of times I talk to people and I go, okay, well, you know what? We're gonna have to agree to disagree, because we're never gonna see eye to eye. So keep it moving. That's it. Go on to the next conversation. Maybe there's something you could agree on. This happened to me yesterday. Someone, called me, tagged me in something called and said MAGA meltdown about January 6th. And I told her I hated January 6th because I knew that the left would make it bigger than it actually was. And then she said, "Oh, is that the only reason you hate it?" I go, "No, because protests should be peaceful. Protests should not be violent riots." And she liked the comment and left it at that. I don't think she realized the irony behind that is that she's liking that a protest should be peaceful after the summer of 2020, but that doesn't, that's how you engage with people on different sides. Her and I may never see eye to eye, but the one thing maybe we could agree on is that a protest should be peaceful. So, uh, I'm gonna leave it there. Uh, Hope if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please like, subscribe, share the video. Also, leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think, or interact with me on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, Gab, Getter. What's the other one? Parlor. I use them. I share my videos there. If you're on there, feel free to uh, give me a like on there too. And that being said, have a good one, everyone.